turn.
I suppose we are rolling now, aren't we?
I guess so.
Hello there, this is Adderall Jenkins, and yeah, he's laughing because that's not really my name. And we have just come back from the midnight launch in New York at Midtown Comics.
Definitely go there, cool place.
Yeah, go
Recommend
there,
it.
if you live in New York. Of Justice
Even
League...
if you're a tourist, like comic books.
Sure, why not?
But let's get to the point.
Justice League #1. It was a midnight signing. They had Jim Lee and Jeff Johns, artist and writer, on Justice League 1. Show them.
Here it is, Justice League #1. It's part of the New 52 relaunch.
We're at McDonald's right now.
We're in a McDonald's, yeah.
There is a there's a cover with an orange background, a cover with a blue background, but apparently you can only get the blue background if you buy the one that's $1 extra because it comes with the digital copy. I don't know why you need a digital copy if you're buying the hard copy too, but apparently that's how it works.
So what the New 52 is, should we explain it?
I think that they already know what the New 52 is if they're reading this, but
or
watching this.
Yeah.
Perhaps I should, if we try to say this as simply as possible, they're doing 52 new series that are apparently pruning the continuity.
And they're pruning, rebooting the...
I like pruning, because it's selectively keeping and dismissing continuity.
Okay, but, so we just read it, we just got it, we just read it, finished it.
Luckily we are on the East Coast, and being on the East Coast, midnight comes sooner for us than for some other people.
So, F you, California.
I hope that you could hear us right now. I know in the background there are some people, I think it's Eid today.
I think it's the end of Eid.
The end of Eid, that's one. Is Eid one of those things that goes on?
I don't know if it's like a sundown thing. I'm just not sure.
Because I know Ramadan is like really long. I'm sorry, I'm very unfamiliar.
Isn't Eid the end of Ramadan?
It might be. I'm very unfamiliar with Muslim holidays. Sorry. So anyway, we have read this. Would you like to very, very quickly, without getting into too much detail, summarize the plot of Justice League #1?
Okay. So it takes place in the past, before the forming of the Justice League.
5 years.
5 years. Well, we heard it from some guy.
No, it says so in the comic.
Okay.
I can show the first page. This was the first 3 or 4 pages were released as part of the as a promo for the New 52, and it says 5 years ago.
Okay.
Whoa.
Right there. Okay. So 5 years ago, Batman meets Green Lantern. First time. They've heard Green Lantern has heard of Batman. Batman's still this kind of mythical creature of the night. And they team up against a robot, and then somehow, I don't want to spoil too much, they make their way to Metropolis where they find new people.
And, and also the robot, it says, is...
Should we spoil that?
No, but I'm going to say that Green Lantern and Batman are both interested in it, but for different reasons.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's kind of... It almost seems sort of like a buddy cop.
Almost.
Because they don't get along.
You have the... Green Lantern is the kind of the cocky, witty guy.
Whereas Batman is the no-nonsense asshole, as he always is. Mm-hmm. And that's why we love him.
Yeah.
And also, should I mention just the 3 pages that are...
At the back?
No.
Yeah, okay.
And we've also got a very brief appearance, a very brief early appearance of Cyborg, who, according to the cover, is also going to be joining the League. So we don't have all of our characters here, but we've got a few. It's really pretty much a Batman Green Lantern story.
It is a teaser. It's not.
That's what I would say.
I don't want to say it's not a proper first issue because it does introduce 2 characters, and it does set up.
Do you mind if I take over?
Bit of a story. Yeah,
this is what I was saying to Noah earlier. This is Noah, by the way. I'm Adderall Jenkins. I think that if you're going to have a first issue, especially for like a 6-issue arc or so, then really what a first issue needs to do, it needs to set up the terms of the plot, pretty much the world in which everything's going to be happening, what our basic premise is, but then also create questions and create mysteries and create intriguing elements that we're going to need to explore further as the story progresses to make me want to read issue 2, issue 3 as the story goes on. I think it does introduce questions, but at the same time, it spends a lot of time on character development, and I know that they're trying to really reintroduce these characters, so it makes a lot of sense to do that, but at the same time, I don't think they're really setting up the terms of the plot at all. They're really more just introducing small plot elements, so we need to read issue 2 to find out really what anything means.
Yeah, this issue kind of strikes me a little bit as it is a teaser, but the last couple pages are just cock teasing. They
kind of. I mean, it seems like the last few pages are mostly a segue into the second one.
Yeah, it's they something big happens. I don't know. On
they figured it out already. They're not stupid.
Probably.
So anyway,
something big happens, and we're just left to.
And I mean, there are a lot of comics, generally speaking, an issue will end at a cliffhanger or at a big moment, but
this one just felt kind of. It felt really like a drop off.
I mean, it's odd because it felt surprisingly short, especially for how many pages is it? It's a standard length. It's not. It's not an unusually short comic, but
they don't number comics anymore.
Yeah, not if you buy just the single issues. But I'm guessing it's probably like around 30 some odd pages with ads, maybe around 20 something without.
And there's stuff on the back about the new 52.
There is some bonus info, like mostly the art stuff with Jim Lee. I will say, we were talking about story mostly so far. The art, I would say,
the art is fantastic.
It's solid. If you've seen anything Jim Lee has drawn before, it's that.
Jim Lee is one of the. I'd say he's one of the best artists in this.
But he's also very consistent.
Yeah, he's consistent, and if you have been reading some of the new Marvel stuff, and I don't want to come across as DC over Marvel, blah blah.
Let's not talk about any sort of comparison. Let's just keep going.
Okay. But about the art still.
Yeah, about the art.
Okay. But it is very solid. I'm not going to get into the whole, but I was going to bring it up. It is solid, and the character redesigns, which admittedly I didn't like at first.
Do you mind if I
take some? I just want a little bit. It did take some getting used to for me, but seeing it in actual size, actual colors, not just scans or preview images, it does come together nicely.
The thing is, it feels natural.
It does feel very natural.
It doesn't seem. It's not standing out as though there's something wrong. It fits. I mean, to be honest, if they were to be drawn with their old designs, with their new designs, the differences are small enough that when you're actually following a story and following the action and whatever bit of plot you have, I would say that you really don't notice much of a change.
No.
Even if you are very used to seeing them.
And the characters are so iconic by now that, I mean, except for Cyborg.
Except Cyborg, that's it. The Cyborg bit is kind of a treat because that's kind of a character who we're not expected necessarily to know as well as Batman or Green Lantern.
And what is great, can we show the Cyborg part?
No, let's not. I mean, okay. I don't think...
Well, what really was so...
Mind if I say it?
Okay.
I think that in 3 pages, the 3 pages where Cyborg is really an actual character, they end up pretty much showing a very complete background for Cyborg. That in those 3 pages, we know everything about the character that I expect will be informing the rest of his character throughout this arc. So I think what they did there with Cyborg is what the rest of the issue kind of fell short on doing. I mean, also the other thing, I will say, in all fairness, it opens with a pretty lengthy action sequence, which if you've seen the preview that DC released a few months ago, then you've probably already read it. If you haven't, then you could read it or just buy the book. But, so there's a lot of action at the beginning, but it's kind of interesting. I think Rob Liefeld was once talking about how a first issue he thinks should generally be all action and going in there. That's not what this is. There is a lot of, as I said, character banter and stuff like that, but I think that the action tends to shorten it a bit since we don't really know the context for it.
Can I say something? The difference between the Cyborg part of the book and the rest of it, it really has to deal with, there's a lot of, I'm just going to say words throughout. There is a big action bit in the beginning, like Adam was saying. Sorry, Adderall. His name's Adam. And
Just
there's this big action bit. But the difference between how the writing is done is that the Batman and Green Lantern is all dialogue.
Yeah, you have a very long spell of dialogue, and this is something else that I was saying before.
Let me continue.
Oh, sorry.
It's all dialogue, and the Cyborg part is, again, speaking. There's no narration almost throughout the whole. There's almost no narration. But
do you mind if I cut you off just because you seem to be stumbling?
No. I just want to clear that up. But through the dialogue, the difference between the Cyborg and the rest of the book is the Cyborg part is clearly it's exposition, while the other stuff is just kind of talking.
Sorry about that cut there, computer cut off. I think the main difference between the Batman Green Lantern part and the Cyborg part is that with Cyborg you have a balance of action and dialogue, but it's all really setting something up and it's all really painting a picture. Whereas with Batman and Green Lantern, not that it doesn't do that, it does that very well, but I think it's well written enough that it really kind of is lengthy and gets a bit redundant.
It drags.
It drags. So, and as a result, I think the comic overall ends up feeling a bit shorter. So I think just wrapping things up, first, would you recommend this comic?
I the thing about a first issue is, because it is the first, it is the foundation of what will be a series, it's hard to recommend a first issue without knowing what follows it, I think.
Yeah, in that case, I mean, I know a lot of people are going to be reading this because it's just...
It is a number one.
It's not just because it's a number one, but it's the first book of the New 52, and it's something that's been building up for a really long time, and people want to see really how it is. If I weren't me, or if I had to talk to another me in another world, I would probably say, wait to find out how the second issue is, and then see if you want to go back to the first one. Because I would say the second issue and the first issue are probably going to be the first issue.
And I kind of hinted at this, where a lot of cliffhangers in comic books, because of course you want to keep reading, do end on a why or what, and you get excited for it. This one did feel as a bit of a drop-off, just because it did end kind of suddenly after this big thing.
And also, it didn't really necessarily ask a question. It was just more introducing new elements that we want to find out. It's not really so much what's going to happen with X, it's why is this in the story.
Mm-hmm.
So I think just last thing, if you had to, let's say on a letter scale, where would you put this?
A letter scale?
A letter scale, 8F.
Oh, I was thinking A to Z. Probably, it's hard to do without reading a second issue.
So just
C+.
Standing on C+?
C+, in that it does kind of feel like you do need to... It's not something that you could buy alone, I don't think, and really feel like it was worth it, just story-wise. I mean, sentimentally, not gonna, that's all you. But just story-wise, I don't think it feels complete yet.
Yeah, I would say that, were it not for the Cyborg part, I'd probably go lower with this. I'd say maybe a B-, just as a single issue. I mean, I'm sure that it's going to be picking up pretty soon as the arc goes, but just as an issue, a standalone issue, it falls a bit short. Not that what it does well, it does well. Not that it's bad, but it's just a bit lacking. I think it feels incomplete.
Yeah.
All right. So I mean, again,
but
overall,
overall,
Star Views. By all means, take a look.
And if you are interested in the DC reboot in the New 52, pick it up. Definitely, just pick it up so you have something to build that off of.
But don't download something that someone has uploaded to the internet illegally.
Especially something like this, where it is kind of a big deal.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah.
Oh, we'll find out. It's setting up to be something big, though.
Bye-bye.